Hey everybody, this is Pooka, bringing you another game I played on the Pokemon trading card game online. This one's going to be against a player named TCGPlayer89, and I'm going to be using my good old Klinklang deck. Now, you might remember Klinklang from last format. It's a deck that John Roberts II used to win U.S. Nationals, which was a huge win, a huge moment in the game. But ever since the format rotated, the deck kind of took a big hit. The biggest thing it lost was Rainbow Energy, because that gave you metal to move around with your Klinklang, and it also gave you free retreat with Darkrai's Dark Cloak. But now, we don't have the Rainbow anymore, so you gotta fix up the deck a little bit. It's also kind of weak because you don't have any energy acceleration. It just kind of makes it a mess when you're trying to make a deck like this, because when you don't have energy acceleration and you face like a Hammer Time deck, they can just sit there with Crushing Hammer and remove all your energy one by one, and then you're probably going to end up losing. But it's still a fun deck to play, so I figured I would try it out here, and we'll see what happens. I do start off with this Registeel, which actually turns out to be your main attacker with this deck because it does attack for just basic metal energy. You can use Triple Laser and Protect Charge, makes it survive for a long time. Looks like my opponent is using a Darkrai Hydreigon deck. So this should be an interesting matchup. I mean, it's kind of like the old versus the new. Klinklang being the old, clunkier deck from the last format. Hydreigon being the brand new one, which is kind of more refined, well-oiled machine. But you never know. Maybe Registeel can lead me to victory. Unfortunately, my hand is really bad. As you can see, I have two catchers, and a rare candy, and a metal energy. So I'm going to need to top deck a supporter sometime soon. But I go ahead and catcher up my opponent's Dino, trying to buy myself a turn. You know, it's got a 2 retreat cost. It will get free retreat if he has an energy because of Darkrai. But basically I'm just hoping to slow him down a little bit and make it so that he cannot use Darkrai's Night Spear for a few turns. Now, if he gets a Rare Candy, Hydreigon, Energy, Dark Patch, he could get a turn 2 Night Spear, and I would be in a ton of trouble. But that seems pretty unlikely. Turn 2 Hydreigon is really tough to pull off, especially with a turn 2 Night Spear. I mean, come on, that really doesn't happen very often. But just as I say that, he Ultra Balls for a Hydreigon here, and we're going to see a Rare Candy, I'm sure. Yep, there we go. And now there's a Dark Patch, and I'm not feeling so great about my position. Look at my hand. It's, well, a catcher and a rare candy. My Klink is going to get knocked out, as long as he has an energy. But, oh, he actually plays an N. That's a... I mean, I'm very happy for that decision, but it was a very interesting one. I'll tell you that much. You saw I did not have many cards in my hand, and I didn't play a supporter the previous turn, so I am pretty thankful about that N. Now I have hope. My Klink will go down, which is a bummer, because I really need to prevent Klinks from being knocked out. I need to get Klinklang into play, because without that, I can't move my energy around, I can't use my max potions, and I'm just going to end up losing if I don't get a Klinklang in play. One of the worst parts about Klinklang is that it has 140 hit points. Now that certainly is a lot. But in a matchup like this, Hydreigon actually does 140 damage. So even if I do get a Klinklang out, this is kind of a bad matchup because my opponent could always just catcher out my Klinklang and Dragon Blast it with Hydreigon, and then I end up losing my energy acceleration, and I'll probably end up losing. So this really is not a good matchup at all. A lot of things go against me, but I'm still going to try. You know, anything can happen in this format. At any point, my opponent could just draw nothing, or he could just not draw his max potions all game. You know, any number of things can go on here. But, I mean, right now, I have a decent hand. I'm probably going to have to Juniper this hand away, because I want to get Klinks out immediately. And, you know, Bianca is going to draw me some cards, but it's not going to draw me enough. I need to get 2 Klinks into play this turn. So I'm going to Juniper for 7, and there we go. I draw a Klink and a Heavy Ball. So the nice thing about the Klink is that it has a 3 retreat cost. Now that's usually not a good thing, But in this situation, it allows you to search for it with Heavy Ball. So I get 2 Clinks down. I have a rare candy and Bianca. So, you know, next turn I'll be able to get ready to roll. Not a big deal. So I'm going to triple laser here. I get to hit 3 Pokemon for 30 damage. And I realize at some point, these big dragons are probably going to get me. He's probably going to Dragon Blast at some point. So I want to soften those up with triple laser. Give myself some easy targets for prizes later on. And, you know, I have Terrakion to deal with Darkrai. So, shouldn't be too big of a deal. I mean, at some point I should be able to take care of this. Now he does get a second Hydreigon into play, and his last card is a Juniper, so my opponent is drawing extremely well at this point. I mean, he could not have asked for a perfect or a more perfect start unless he went first. That was the one thing that's gone my way so far. Turn 2 Night Spear took out my Klink, and I am just in all sorts of trouble. There's another catcher, so now I'm put on the clock. I really need to get a Klinklang into play this turn. He's going to be able to Night Spear. Hits me for 90, and he could hit the Klink for 30. That would probably be the best play, just because if he doesn't draw a catcher, or if I end him or something, he wants to be able to still knock out the Klink. But he decides to target down Darkrai. I'm not sure why he's doing that, but that's what he's deciding to do. And, alright, this is the big turn. You know, I can play my hand down and draw 4 with Bianca. That's exactly what I'm going to want to do. You know, I already have the rare candy. All I need is a Heavy Ball or a Klinklang, and I can rare candy into this, and I'm feeling good about my position if I do that. So I'm just going to play the catcher out. You know, if I do get rare candy Klinklang, I can attack with my Terrakion, because I'll be able to move my energy around and retreat for free. But here we go, there's the Bianca, and oh no, I miss again. That is devastating. I mean, ugh. No way to get a Klinklang. There's a communication, but I didn't draw Pokemon with it. So, if he has a catcher here, I am just pretty much done for. That's my last Klink. So I get knocked out. I'm going to go ahead and target down Hydreigons and Sableye again. You know, one more attack on those things will knock them out. So I decide to do that. I got an Eviolite on Terrakion, so it can't be Dragon Blasted, but you know, that was really my one turn to get a Klinklang into play. If he has a catcher again, then I pretty much lose. I won't have any way to get a Klinklang out in. Yeah, there is a catcher. So at this point, I mean, there's no way I can compete with this deck. Just, he's got 2 Hydreigons in play. Even if I knock out one somehow, he can still move his energy around. He can still max potion. I don't get to move my energy around. All I have is a Registeel with 3 energy and a Terrakion with 1. What am I supposed to do with that? Well, next turn I could potentially attack with Terrakion. You know, I could retaliate, get a Tool Scrapper. I don't remember if I actually play one in this deck or not. But if I do, then I can Tool Scrapper away the Eviolite and then retaliate for a knockout. Just thinking, I don't actually remember if I do play Tool Scrapper. I probably assumed that I did at the time. You know, if I don't, I definitely should have been hitting this Darkrai for 10 each time with triple laser instead of maybe the Sableye. But, I mean, it is what it is. And this is going to be a big turn. You know, can I retaliate for a big knockout? Yeah, I promote the Terrakion just because I'm going to play the Switch anyway. Because I'm going to Juniper this away. Discarding those 3 rare candy. That's gonna give up any hope I ever had of getting a Klinklang out this game, but that's alright. And, you know, I get a Prism and a Blend, both of which will actually allow me to use Retaliate, but if I'm not going to use Retaliate for the knockout, I just don't see a point. I would rather just Protect Charge with my Registeel and go from there. So I'm going to Heavy Ball just to thin out my deck a little bit. Doesn't really matter what I take. I'm not really going to be able to power anything else up at this point. So I'm actually going to drop a Blend on Terrakion, because I can still threaten a knockout next turn with Land Crush. So I can go ahead and triple laser, probably hit both Hydreigons, and then Sableye, you know, do the 3rd time, put those in range for Protect Charge knockouts, and then take a prize on the Sableye, just to try to get like a tool scrapper out of my prizes if it's in there. Basically, I just want an extra card to work with because I don't even have a supporter anymore. I get another switch, not going to help out. And, you know, once again at this point, he is up 2 prizes. I have nothing. At this point, I look like a sad 6 corners deck with a bunch of useless Klinklangs in my hand. But, you know, I'm going to keep trying. Maybe I can pull off a miracle. Maybe I'll draw an N at some point. And, oh, he gets his catcher. I think that's his 4th one, actually. It's pretty brutal for me. He has his 4th catcher. You know, if he gets a max potion here and heals off a Hydreigon and then just Dragon Blast me. Oof. I don't know what to do about that. So here comes the Juniper. Does he get the max potion? I don't even think he's played one yet. So odds are he's going to get one here. And once again, my opponent is just on top of everything. Has not missed a beat this entire game. Every turn it's just catcher, catcher, catcher. You know, has Hydreigons into play. Eviolite on the Darkrai. Everything is just going his way. And then you look at my side and it's just, well, I got a Registeel. I can shoot a lot of lasers out, but firing lasers doesn't always work too well. Not in Pokemon. I mean, you can do it against Electric. Maybe if he lets me do it 5 times, I can knock out every Hydreigon, but I'm not even going to try to go for that. I know that's silly. I know he plays Max Potion. It's a Hydreigon Darkrai deck. They all play Max Potion. But he has not played the Max Potion, so he must not have one. Now, he can still Dragon Blast my Terrakion. This is going to be my opponent's biggest obstacle. Taking out Terrakion. Because that's the one thing that can really just plow through Darkrai's. And, you know, he can take a knockout here. Unfortunately for my opponent, he's going to be losing a lot of energy when he does this. You know, it's a big risk. He puts 2 Blend and 2 Dark on this active. He's still got 1 behind on that Darkrai. But he's going to Dragon Blast me for the knockout. Now, this is actually a fairly risky play. I will be able to Protect Charge with Registeel for the knockout. As weird as that sounds, Protect Charge, it does 80. Most people don't realize that Registeel EX does have a second attack. It does 80 and then prevents 20 damage from the defending Pokemon. So it's actually a fairly solid card. Nothing too overwhelming, but, you know, good enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and Protect Charge. Why not? Get the knockout on that Hydreigon. And, you know, down to 4 prizes. Could be worse. Could be a lot better. My opponent is at 2 prizes. Basically, if he ever knocks out one of my EXs, which I have 4 of in play, then I am going to lose. But, you know, he's only got 1 energy out there. At this point, he's burned through a lot of resources. In fact, well, there's 2 Blend right there, but, you know, I was going to say he might not have his 4th one, but never mind, he does have his 4th one. Now, this kind of opens some doors up for him to do some stuff like Side Drive with Mewtwo if he really wants to. He can just X-Ball here. Unfortunately, that's going to do, let's see, there's 6 energy. It's going to be minus 60. Registeel, Resist Psychic, has the Eviolite, we have the Protect Charge, that's minus 60. X-Ball's only doing 60 damage to this Registeel, so I'm actually still kind of safe. Now my opponent Rare Candies into a 3rd Hydreigon. That is so completely devastating for me, because I was thinking, you know, what if I just go ahead and catcher out his other Hydreigon and he can't move his energy anymore? Maybe I'll win that way. But that's not going to be the case. He's got a 3rd one into play, and really this is just painful for me. You know, everything that I've been trying to do has gotten shut down, one way or another. Now, it doesn't look like my opponent has a supporter, so finally it looks like he's fizzled out a bit. I have a weird decision to make here. If I put down my Mewtwo, obviously I open up the door for my opponent to catcher it out and win, but he's used all 4 catchers at this point, so that's not actually a worry. In the immediate future, my biggest worry is actually that I won't have anything to deal with his Mewtwo. You know, if he just gets a max potion, I lose. I really can't survive another hit, And that's going to be it. My Registeel is going to get knocked out. Game over. So I really need to actually power up Mewtwo. That's going to be my only chance at this point. It's the only thing that can deal with that Mewtwo. Even if he doesn't have a max potion, he can just hit for another 60. And then I can't actually knock him out with Protect Charge. So I need to put down the Mewtwo. That's my only chance of winning this game. Like I said, it's a big risk. If he just knocks out my Mewtwo, I lose the game. But what else can I do? There's really nothing left. So my plan is going to be to power up Mewtwo and maybe use Psy Drive to knock out his Mewtwo. Because I don't think he'll leave this thing up active. That would be suicidal. You know, he'll just get knocked out by my X-Ball. And he'll lose all his energy in the process. So at this point, I'm just kind of thinking, well, maybe I can power up Mewtwo. Maybe this will work. I do have 2 Prisms left. I've only used these 2 on the active Registeel. I play 4 because it's the most useful energy in the deck. You get to move them around with Klinklang. They give your Pokemon free retreat with Darkrai's Dark Cloak and all that good stuff. But let's see. I mean, he doesn't seem to have much. He's setting up a Sableye. This is going to be scary, though. He can get back a catcher and another item, which is going to be brutal for me. And it looks like he's moving off energy from his Mewtwo, so he might have a max potion as well. If he has that, that's going to make it even more difficult for me to do anything. And yep, there's the max potion. Clenching my fist in anger at this point. Like, every time I try to get a little something, every time the door opens a little tiny bit, he shuts it immediately, you know. Just like when I got the 2 Klinks out, I thought I had a Klinklang. Nope. He had his catcher to knock out another Klink. I never got a Klinklang into play. Maybe I thought I could do something to that Mewtwo. Nope, slams the door with a max potion. I thought I could take his Hydreigons out of play. Nope, gets a 3rd one into play. So every single one of my plans have been foiled at this point. And it gets frustrating, but you have to battle on. There's nothing else you can do about it. Sometimes all you have is a Registeel using Protect Charge, and you have to try to find a way out. You know, it's not as bad as it looks, to be honest. I'm going to need to draw pretty well to end up winning this game, but it's certainly possible. I'm going to attach the Prism to my Mewtwo this turn, and then if I get another one and a catcher, I'll be able to knock out his Mewtwo with Psy Drive. And from there, you know, I might actually just be able to win. I'll have so much stuff in play between Mewtwo and Registeel. But there we see a Dark Pitch and a Max Potion, so it doesn't look like he got a catcher, which is good for me, actually. I'm in no worry of being knocked out. There's no way Registeel gets knocked out. Just not possible if I'm using Protect Charge. So I need to attach this Prism to Mewtwo. It's obviously risky, and then I'm going to play an N, just to give myself more cards, actually. Because I need to draw that Prism and the catcher. And I do get a Juniper, so next turn is a possibility. I can still pull this game off. And here we go, Protect Charge. Never thought I'd be using this so many times in a game, but knocks out Sableye. And oh, I get the catcher for my prizes. That was actually prized. Things are starting to look up. Maybe we got a shot at this, guys. No Klinklang's out, but maybe we can pull it off. Just Registeel firing off lasers and protecting himself, and maybe a Mewtwo to finish it off. Now let's see what my opponent drew off of the 2 cards from N plus the card for his turn. He gets an Eviolite on his Mewtwo. It's fairly important. Oh, and another Sableye. And, oh, an N. Oh, man. So, I had the catcher and the Juniper. I would have drawn for the last Prism and maybe knocked out his Mewtwo, and then I could have won the game from there. But now, it's not looking so good. You know, he puts me at a weird hand. Not a bad hand, but a weird one. I do have the catcher, so if I can draw into a way to get my Prism, I can pull this game off still. It's not going to be easy, though, that's for sure. So my opponent, a lot will ride on if he has an energy as well. It's going to be tough for him to really get energy into play. He retreats to Sableye. He's going to lose his 4th blend if he has to move it up there, because I will just Protect Charge that Sableye for a knockout. So what is going to happen here? You know, as bad as things looked, as good as my opponent's well, the whole game has been, this is not over. Registeel is, well, possibly going the distance. I've had 2 goofy-looking Darkrai sitting there the whole game, a field full of 5 EXs, and no real strategy besides attacking with a Registeel. But somehow we're in this game. My opponent will use Junk Hunt once again, and if I don't find a way to disrupt him, I'm probably going to be in some pain very shortly. We'll see what he does, though. Junk Hunt will allow him to get back 2 items. What will they be? We'll see a random receiver and a catcher. So, I don't know. Maybe. I draw a Klinklang, which is the worst thing I could have drawn, probably. And my turn is pretty simple. I'll just put down the Cobalion in place in case I get End. And here we go, guys. I mean, I draw a medal off of my prize. It's not going to help me out too much. If he can manage to get like 3 energy in play with a couple dark patches and then use that catcher, I'm actually going to end up losing because he can catcher out my Mewtwo and knock it out. Nothing I can do about that. I was always forced to put down this Mewtwo just because I couldn't do anything about it. And oh, the random receiver got him a Juniper. If that would have gotten him an N, I think I would have been fine still. But now he can draw his entire deck. And if there's an energy and a dark patch left in there, I'm going to lose. Plays a max potion on the Hydreigon. If the last dark patch is not there, though, I'm going to end up winning. He's going to deck out if he plays that Juniper. So this is an all or nothing move. Catcher's out the Mewtwo. Here goes the Juniper. And does he get it? He needs an energy and a dark patch. There's the energy. Does he have the dark patch? 5 cards in. Oh, there's the dark patch. What a heartbreaker. You know, just not much went right this game. So much went against me, but I tried my best. We brought it down to as close of a game as possible. My Mewtwo is going to end up being knocked out, but like I said, I really had no choice. I had to play him down, because if I didn't, I would have just gotten overrun by those Pokemon attacking my Registeel. But, you know, tried our best. Nothing we can do. Sometimes you lose the game, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, and we lost this one. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you were somewhat entertained by my Klinklang deck. And I'll see you guys next time for some more games.